What's happening, people? It's me again, Courtney. Do my MMA predictions. This time it's for UFC 124, which will take place on Saturday, the 11th of December 2010, at the Bell Centre in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Today I'm representing Dan the Outlaw Hardy, t-shirt, bandana, and the UFC with the cap as well. And I'm going to try to do the whole predictions video with all of this on, but maybe not. It's suffocating, man. But anyway, yes, UFC 124, George St-Pierre versus Josh Koscheck for the World Welterweight Championship. George St-Pierre's got a 20-2 record. Everyone knows about this guy. Welterweight champion, arguably the best, arguably the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, mixed martial artist in the world. George St-Pierre, very well rounded. Sick wrestling. There was talk about him trying out for the Canadian Olympic team. He's got good stand up. Wow, what else can I say about this guy? He's the model person for MMA basically. You show someone MMA, you show them George St-Pierre. He's the athlete. He's the cover person. He's the person that UFC like to show off. He's one of the biggest stars. Probably is the biggest star in the UFC at the moment. I can't say enough about the guy. He's a very, very good fighter. He's not lost since 2007. That last loss was against Matt Serra. Then he regained the title again from Matt Serra. He got it back from him. The only thing bugbear with GSP, he's not a very vicious fighter. He doesn't go for he goes for the kill, but there's times where he could if he really wanted to be nasty, he could actually kill people. Take for instance against Dan Hardy, he really could have snapped Dan Hardy's arm. He could have snapped the arm, but he didn't. Just that killer. He has got killer instinct, but he's more. I don't know. Like someone like BJ Penn's got a killer instinct. George St. Pierre hasn't got that for me. And it showed because he's not finished the last couple of people that he's fought, I think. But saying that, he's still a badass fighter, and it's going to take a lot for someone to beat him at welterweight, basically. Obviously, in his last fight, he beat Dan Hardy via decision. His last 5 fights, he's had 5 wins, 0 losses. And he's fighting everyone's favourite villain, Josh Koscheck. Josh Koscheck's 5'10". He's got a 15-4 record. Josh Koscheck, Division 1, NCAA, I think champ. I'm not sure. Sorry, Division 1 wrestler. Well-regarded wrestler. Got numerous championships. Strong, very quick. Has a big right hand. He likes to finish he has finished a few opponents. He's got a killer instinct. He will try and beat people's heads off. For this fight, he'll be very well prepared for it. I'm sure AKA they've got a game plan for him to win this fight. He's very cautious as well. He can stay out of the way of strikes. If you see against Paul Daly, he stayed out of the way and just basically took Paul Daly down at will. I'm not saying Paul Daly's GSP, but you know what I'm saying, with the same sense of striking. Paul Daly can hit you and knock you out in one. I don't think GSP's got that actual power like Paul Daly has, but still, staying out of the way of Paul Daly's strikes is quite good. He stayed around the edge of the cage and then came in to take Paul Daly down. I don't think he'll be doing the same against GSP. I don't think he'll be backing off, because if he does, GSP will hit him. So I think Koscheck's best option is to come forward. He's going to have to come forward and sprawl, which I think he knows how to do anyway, and possibly take the GSP down. GSP can be taken down. If you look at the first fight, Koscheck did take him down, but Koscheck's going to have to work on taking him down and holding him down, pinning him down, keeping him there. If it happens the other way around and Koscheck's on his back, he's going to have to either pop back up or recover his guard as quickly as possible, because GSP will keep him there. And I don't know what Koscheck's jiu-jitsu is like, or his ground game is like. I don't think it's as good as, say for instance, John Fitch. But hopefully he'll be well prepared for the sprawl and brawl techniques needed. But I'm not counting out Josh Koscheck in this fight. I think it's closer than everyone making out to be. Um, it may be won on takedowns. It may not be won on takedowns. You know, I don't want to see it just be takedown, takedown, takedown. I want to see some match. I want to see a good MMA match. You know, but we'll wait and see. For this fight, I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna go with the favourite, George St-Pierre. Although I think Josh Koscheck has a very, very good chance of beating him. If anyone has a chance, it's him at this present time. It's him. No one else in the division, I don't think, can at the present time, except him. Possibly John Fitch as well. But you know, Koscheck has a very good chance of winning. But I'm picking GSP. I hope he finishes Koscheck. You know, shows that killer instinct. You know, instead of grinding it out for a decision, no, finish. He has to be wary of Koscheck's right hand. But I'm picking GSP. I don't usually pick him. I always pick the other guy because I want someone to beat GSP. You know, just make things interesting. But for this time, I'm going to pick GSP. I'll probably regret it because if Koscheck wins, I'll be, you know. But I'm picking GSP. Next fight on the card is Thiago Alves versus John Howard. Thiago Alves has got a 17-7 record. He's 5'9". Thiago Alves got great Muay Thai. Got a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His wrestling's not that great, you know. He has a lot of trouble making weight for his fights because he's so big. Hopefully this time will be sorted because he's got Mike Dolce with him sorting that out. So I hope, you know, he makes weight basically. That's the first obstacle he's got to deal with. He's not been finished since 2006. And I think the last person to finish him was John Fitch with the up kick. So it's very hard to finish. His last fight was a loss to John Fitch via decision. John Fitch just took him up, put him down on his ass all throughout the 3 rounds. In his last 5 fights, he's had 3 wins and 2 losses. And he's fighting John Howard. John Howard has got a 14-5 record. I think he's 5'8". John Howard, most of his wins have come via submission, so he has got submissions in his game, good submissions as well. He's got good Muay Thai as well. He's got a lot of heart as well. But if you've seen his last fight against Jake Ellenberger, his eye was. Let me just get something. This is John Howard's eye. That was John Howard's eye after he fought Jake Ellenberger. Just closed up. He couldn't see shit. And you know, he's got a big heart. He can fight. Interestingly enough, if you look on the UFC side, if you look at the fight card, Thiago Alves and John Howard. For striking, Thiago Alves has 57%. I'm pretty sure John Howard's originally a Muay Thai person. They've given John Howard 13% striking on the UFC side. I don't know what the hell that's all about. They're giving the better takedowns, but the Muay Thai is 13%. I don't understand that at all. But in his last fight, it was a loss against Jake Ellenberger. That was a TKO doctor stoppage. In his last 5 fights, he had 4 wins and 1 loss. For this fight, I'm going to pick. Thiago Alves got some sick leg kicks, but John Howard has got really good hands, good boxing. He'll be the smaller fighter, but that don't mean jack. Because I didn't think he was going to win against Chris Wilson and Tamden McCorkle, but he did. But I'm going to. For some reason, someone's telling me to pick John Howard. I'm picking John Howard to win this fight. I think he's going to possibly take Thiago Alves down in ground and pound. So it's, you know, it could be an interesting fight. So I'm going to pick John Howard to win that fight. Next on the card is, I'm looking forward to this fight, Jim Miller versus Charles Oliveira. Jim Miller's 5'8". He's got an 18-2 record. I like Jim Miller. He's a very good fighter. This guy will just grind the shit out of you, man. He just keeps going and keeps going. He'll take you up. You get back up. He'll put you on your ass again and keep hitting you submissions. He just keeps coming at you. He's got a very high work rate. He's got a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I think. He may be going to a black belt. I'm not sure. He's on a 5-fight win streak at the moment. His last fight was a win against Gleason Tebow, which he started slow. In that fight, it was a bit weird. He started a bit slow in that fight. Tebow gave him some trouble as well. In his last 5 fights, he's just had 5 wins. The only losses he's had are to Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard. Gray Maynard was in the UFC, and Frankie Edgar was that loss was in a different promotion. And if he's fighting Charles Oliveira. I don't know too much about this guy. I've seen his 2 fights in the UFC where he's had his 6 submissions. He's got 14-0 record. He's 5'10". He's a long rangy fighter. The submissions I've seen in the UFC have been, they've been good. His last fight was a win against Efrain Escudero by submission. He was lucky because he got rocked in that fight as well. I don't think Jim Miller will let him off if he rocks him like that. In his last 5 fights, he had 5 wins and 0 losses. This fight, I'm picking Jim Miller. I think Jim Miller's just going to grind the hell out of him again, take him down, beat him up, and I think he'll do it to win. Next fight on the card is Joe Stevenson versus Matt Danzig. Joe Stevenson, 5'7", 31-11 record. He's probably fought everyone. This guy's got such a big record for such a young guy. He's got one hell of a grip and a guillotine. The guillotine's sick. I'm working on that for next year. That's one of my goals, my submission game, that guillotine. His cardio and his striking is improving. He's at Greg Jackson's camp now, so he's getting better all the time. Some people would see it as a hindrance, but you can only, Greg Jackson producing winners. Winning what counts, the W counts. His last fight was a loss against George Soteropoulos. I didn't think he'd lose that fight, but Soteropoulos just outboxed him and just, But anyway, his last 5 fights, he's had 2 wins and 3 losses. He's fighting Matt Danzig. I'm not the biggest Matt Danzig fan. For the simple fact is, he must be one of the worst Ultimate Fighter winners ever. He's had 7 fights in the UFC and he's had 4 losses, man. And he just looked poor in some of those fights, I feel sorry for the guy, but hey, he's got a sick jiu-jitsu game as well. He can box, but he just do. When I see him fight, I'm not really getting excited about his techniques or anything. His last fight was a loss against Matt Wyman via submission. It was a bit questionable as well whether he actually submitted him or not. I hope the UFC will give him the rematch. His last 5 fights, he's had 4 losses and 1 win. I'm not sure how far that Ultimate Fighter contract goes, but boy, he must be looking at it and thinking, this is the last chance saloon for me. Must be. But anyway, for this fight, I'm going to pick Joe Stevenson. Joe Stevenson has to, both of these, this is the last chance saloon for both, well, not last chance saloon, but both of these fighters have to win this fight, to prove they are any good in the lightweight division. More so Matt Danzig than Joe Stevenson. They have to win. But I'm picking Joe Stevenson. I think he could actually submit Matt Danzig, because if he gets him in that guillotine, he ain't getting out. I'm telling you now. Joe Stevenson will rip his head off if he gets him in the guillotine. But I'm picking Joe Stevenson by a guillotine. Next fight on the card, I'm not sure why it's on the main card because I'm not really interested in this fight. It's Stefan Struve versus Sean McCorkle. Stefan Struve is 6'11", got a 20-4 record. This guy's a lanky, rangy fighter. Most of his wins are via submission. He can take a beating, as he proved against Stojnovic, I think it was. That was in Germany last year. His last win was a KO win against Christian Moorcraft. His last 5 fights, he had 4 wins and 1 loss. I think that 1 loss was against Roy Nelson. He's fighting Sean Big Sexy McCorkle, who's 6'7", who's undefeated. He's got a 10-0 record. It looks like from his record, he likes to finish a lot of his fights. In his UFC debut, he beat Mark Hunt via submission, which isn't hard really. I'm not saying Mark Hunt's a rubbish fighter, but as an MMA fighter, Mark Hunt's not that great. As a K1 fighter, he's bad. But yeah, anyway, McCorkle beat him via submission. His last 5 fights, he had 5 wins. On the UFC side, they listed Sean McCorkle's, one of his advantages, one of his things, as being internet savvy. Whoever does a UFC site needs their brain checking, man. Come on, man, you've got to put something better than that on there. But anyway, I'm picking Stefan Struve to win this fight via submission. And those are my picks. Follow me on Twitter with the same username, chokewho. Check out some of the sites listed below or on my other videos as well. And go and watch the other videos. Watch my other videos. And I train at Leicester MMA with Leicester Shoot Fighters. Go to the website leicestermma.co.uk and come and train with us. Train with us, the best. Anyway, peace.